The Los Angeles Dodgers are an extremely good baseball team, but the Mariners shouldn't lose hope yet, and fans alike should also join them in that regard. Good baseball teams win hard-fought games. Last night, the Mariners, they lost 6-3 to the Los Angeles Dodgers to fall to 81-66 on the year in the first game of a 3-game set at home. This loss, it's not great. You don't want to lose any games coming down the stretch, and especially on days where the Rangers and the Astros, two teams in front of you, lost as well. Could have made up some ground, and also the Blue Jays won yesterday, so not ideal in terms of the win-loss in that regard. However, this series mirrors one that a lot of Mariners fans are probably pretty familiar with by just looking back a calendar year ago, essentially. On September 9th, 2022, the Mariners kicked off a 3-game home series against the Atlanta Braves, a team that last year, I would say, is pretty comparable to this Los Angeles Dodgers team this year. The teams have been very, very good for very, very long. The National League either going to run through Atlanta or run through Los Angeles if you had to pick a team at the beginning of the year to go to the World Series. The Mariners lost Game 1 on September 9th, 2022, 6-4. And that's pretty close in terms of box score. It's just a 1-run difference from the Mariners in the previous game. The Mariners got 4 earned off of Charlie Morton in that game against Atlanta. They got 3 against Bobby Miller against the Dodgers in the previous night. George Kirby yesterday went 6 innings and gave up 4 earned runs. In that game against Atlanta, Robbie Ray went 5 innings and gave up 4 earned runs as well. I will say Robbie Ray gave up 8 hits, so they're a little bit more scattered, and George only gave up 5. I would say George was pitching better than Robbie Ray was in that first game against Atlanta versus George against the first game against Los Angeles. A fastball running high and inside to Miguel Rojas gets poked out into the bullpen. I don't know how Miguel Rojas managed to turn on that fastball. Good for him. It's a good pitch. He got to it. George, he had some issues in this game, but overall, this mirrors pretty much the first one for the Atlanta Braves series, in my opinion. The second game against the Braves last year, George Kirby actually started and went 6 innings, striking out 6 and giving up no earned runs. A rookie Seattle Mariners pitcher starting against a juggernaut National League team. Well, that sounds kind of a lot like the game that's happening today, Bryce Miller versus Los Angeles Dodgers. On the opposing mound, Clayton Kershaw will be taking the mound for the Dodgers, a veteran of the game, a Hall of Fame pitcher, probably the best pitcher in my generation of baseball, if I had to put a name to that title. Clayton Kershaw, he's the guy you want your pitchers to become. Max Fried was the guy who started for the Braves last year in the second game, a quality left-handed starting pitcher. The Mariners managed to tag him for 2 earned runs, which would be enough to hold the scoreline, but they did pick up one later against Jesse Chavez to take home a win in Game 2, 3-1, meaning the rubber match, the final game of the series happening on a Sunday, was down to the wire. The bullpen in Game 2 was Nails, Munoz, Swanson, Sewald. Did not give up an earned run, even though the Braves did score one. The Mariners, they held their own against Atlanta in Game 2. Hopefully, the Mariners can do that same thing against the Dodgers in Game 2 tonight. Now for Game 3. Game 3 is a bit of a mixed bag here. Obviously, we don't know the outcome of Game 2 like we do know the outcome for Game 2 for the Braves series last year. However, it was a very famous game in terms of Seattle Mariners 2022 history. If you want to take a look back and look at the key games throughout that year, September 11th, 2022 against the Atlanta Braves is going to be one of those games. The Julio Rodriguez game-tying home run in the bottom of the 9th against premier closer Kenley Jansen and Gino Suarez walking it off was one of the largest moments for the 2022 Seattle Mariners to continue their momentum to ride that into the playoffs. They tagged Jake Odorizzi early for 4 earned across 3 2/3 innings pitched, got one off Colin McHugh, got one off Tyler Matzik, and were looking like they were going to be able to cruise to a victory. And then the bullpen collapsed in the top of the 9th, and the Atlanta Braves scored 5 to take a 7-6 lead. But then, as we know, the magic happened in the bottom of the 9th from J-Rod and Gino. The starter on the mound for the Mariners that game, Marco Gonzalez, went 6 innings, only allowing 2 hits, 1 earned, and striking out 5. A veteran of the Mariners rotation, Logan Gilbert gets the nod in Game 3 against the Dodgers, a guy who has been very dominant this season. Logan Gilbert, we know the tail of the tape around Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, the top three guys in our rotation. Logan Gilbert has been very good this 2023 season, and specifically against National League teams. Logan Gilbert, he steps up for some reason, and at home against the Dodgers on a Sunday, I'm hoping Gilbert can do that same exact thing. Go out there, shut down a Dodgers lineup, and hopefully allow the offense in the bullpen to do the rest. I don't necessarily care to have the dramatic win like the Mariners did in that final game against the Braves, should we get to that point with the Dodgers. Overall, at this rate, with how Game 1 looked, and going into this series, we just wanted one win. Whether that comes in Game 2 or Game 3, I'm hoping the Mariners can pull one out, because if you don't, it's really looking like you need to go in and sweep Oakland, and a team that has nothing to play for, a team that just took 2 out of 3 from the Astros, it's not going to be easy, but neither is going to be beating the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Mariners, all they can do is put up their best foot forward the rest of the way. And the Dodgers still haven't even announced their Game 3 starter, but it's likely looking like it would be a Lance Lynn type start. And earlier in the year when he was with the White Sox, Lance Lynn started against the Mariners and struck out 16 batters, which does not bode well for us because he was pretty bad with the White Sox, but he's been better with the Dodgers. So again, get one win against the Dodgers, go 500 on your homestand essentially, and roll into Oakland and hopefully start some momentum down there in the Coliseum. The Mariners season, it's not over yet, and we've got a video on the screen right now breaking down why that's the case. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Keep rooting for your Mariners against the Los Angeles Dodgers this weekend, and go Mariners.